with the professor. We were still just a coughing. Baby, how's the Mexican coffee?
It's good with the creamer in it.
Not so much without the creamer, huh?
By itself, a spoon would stand up in it.
Oh, is it strong?
That's bad.
Ooh. Yeah.
So, I don't know if they drink this down in Mexico or not.
I don't know.
Good and hot. Get microwave, man.
Yeah.
Got hotter.
So, we are doing rounding up to the end of the harmony of the Gospels.
Yeah,
So,
we're Jesus is before Pilate.
yep. And a couple of good resources. This is my personal favorite. The harmony of the Gospels got Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. In the Holman Christian Standard Version, that is, and it just basically the same thing as this, but it doesn't give you any transitions or anything. But you got all your scriptures and easy to read. You got that. Another resource that is another just fabulous book is by James Montgomery Boyce, The Parables of Jesus. And this book has helped us through this study. I bet David
Parables.
didn't know that. And a new one, The Murder of Jesus by John MacArthur.
Did you get that for Christmas?
Yeah. And haven't read that much from it, but I do like John MacArthur. And
That'd be a good Easter read.
good, yeah, that's right. So we're still sticking to our guns. We did, a couple years ago, we started this.
It's been 2 years ago.
It's been almost 2 years
I don't
ago.
even think we've done it a year yet.
I think we have.
I think I think we started after I got laryngitis first of this year. But it's taken a while.
Yeah. We like we started
Sickness and vacations and all that.
With the Christmas story in summer. Will be the beginning of summer. Now it's Christmas time when we're doing the crucifixion. I still can't wrap my mind around.
What?
Tomorrow is the New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I told him I would do it. Didn't do it in the last session because I forgot. But if you're in the Oxford, Edison area, you need to go to the BOGO's fireworks in Oxford. Not the one in Oxford, but on your way towards Coldwater. Stop in that one. You give Brian some business. He's been going to him for 30 years, 31 years.
A lot of gunpowder.
A lot of gunpowder. You know, so real quick, well, we'll wait for Mr. Peaches because he'll enjoy this one, that story. We'll say that for the last, remind me. But,
About Bogos?
yeah. Well, we are going to be in Mark or Luke. Oh, are we doing the, what's it called?
No, I think we didn't do it last time.
Oh,
This takes a lot of, this one's a big one, so.
Is that recording?
get in here, Steve.
Is that recording?
So we got Ryan. Ryan has done a lot of blowing up stuff with me before.
Oh,
But there was-
you talked about BOGOs.
But there was one time
Oh,
Ryan nearly killed us. He lit one, and it was the loudest thing that we ever did here.
No. Let me tell you. You told him your story.
Which
So
one?
we went to. So you're gonna love this one. So this would have been 2011, because I left Coles. Yeah, it would have been 2011, because I left Coles right before 4th of July in 2012. So it would have been 2011. So you know how to put it, don't we? Anyway, so I got him off, and probably like 7 o'clock at night, and that's when him and his folks were still living on Shelley Lynn. So I come over there, and they have Jim and Gina over there. We're just talking. Okay, to preface this, when we went to Bojangles, it was these artillery rounds, and when he lit them up, these things like shook the whole neighborhood. It was like being in like a mortar going off in like Baghdad. So that sets the pace. Before I get there, he had a fire going in the pit and had killed the fire and all that. He threw one of them in there and it didn't go off, so he's like, oh, you know, it's not hot enough, whatnot. It goes into the house and all that. And I go out there and I'm talking to Jim and Gina and his mom and dad are there. All of a sudden you hear, boom! And you look outside, they're like, Greg, your fence is on fire. It had gone off, and the whole like fence they had like a white fence that went around their house like that. The back of it was like gone and in flames.
Threw some sparks out.
And he was, what? Didn't you like
Made that
pour like water on it and whatnot?
Yep.
And he didn't think that, and yeah, it was loud. I wasn't expecting it. Made me jump. Made everybody jump.
Made that fire scatter.
Yeah,
Made that fire scatter. All right. So,
I had to tell her that.
do you have a transition
Hey, wait a
for
second.
us?
What is that?
You
What
were.
is this?
We took this one out too. These are some well, not much as this one.
The murder of Jesus. Oh man, you got the hookup to
This is one resource that I read to
Sean McGorder.
help with this study. And
This is a long read right here.
the parables of Jesus is what we did when we
Kind of
did the parables.
got a time restraint here.
We don't have a time restraint.
Yeah, we do.
We can go till
We ain't gonna be here till midnight.
we can be here till 4 o'clock in the morning. Anyway.
You make
Well, somebody, I'm not gonna name names, maybe, like started talking about Taco Bell, so now Taco Bell's in my mind. Yeah, that's not a good thing.
Well, are we doing this?
I don't see what time this will get done with this.
Oh, so you want to do the scripture first?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
So, this is in Mark chapter 15, first 15 verses. And it's,
Break it up though.
yeah, well, it's short. That's all there is.
Oh, okay. Oh, I
Can you
see
see
it.
that?
I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Said, immediately in the morning, the chief priest held a consultation with elders and scribes and the whole council, and they bound Jesus, led him away, and delivered him to Pilate. Then Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" He answered and said to him, "It is as you say." And the chief priest accused him of many things, but he answered nothing. Then Pilate asked him again, saying, "Do you answer nothing? See how many things they testify against you." But Jesus still answered nothing, so that Pilate marveled. So far in Matthew and Mark, we got Jesus not saying nothing.
But in John,
They have a little conversation.
we have a conversation. So, why is that?
Well, everybody scattered.
Yeah.
When they picked him up. And so far, we've seen in Matthew and Mark where Jesus didn't answer. But for John to write what he did, was he eavesdropping?
Ah, that's interesting.
So, you think that,
Fascinating.
because you think that from what Matthew and Mark wrote, 'cause a lot of people think Mark is writing down what Peter experienced and told what Mark happened.
That's what I've always been
They
told.
might not have been there.
Mm-hmm.
They two of them scattered.
Yeah.
See what Luke has to say, and see where what his information is. But we got to finish Mark.
Yeah. All right. You want me to go ahead?
Go ahead.
Well,
David, with that coughing.
okay.
Good to send them back.
Now at the feasts, he was accustomed to releasing one prisoner, which is our friend Barabbas, to them, whoever they requested. Guys, spoiler alert, it was Barabbas. And he repented, too.
Barabbas?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Well, hold on now.
Only based on the theory. Your theory.
And
And a movie.
the movie.
So did Hollywood get it right?
I don't
Oh,
know.
well, answer the question. Do you think Hollywood got it right?
Well, where did they get their information? They sure didn't get it from the Bible.
They could have.
Because this is after the fact that Jesus is dead.
Well, they did a good job with the Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston.
Oh yeah, they did.
Nobody could play Moses but that man.
Well, you could play Moses.
Not like that man. That man can act.
We got the Mexican Peach. Anyway, so
I don't think that'd be a big hit in that movie. Somebody goes, I want Charlton Heston. Well, he's not alive anymore. I can't get him. Sorry.
and there was one who was named Barabbas who was chained with his fellow rebels. Ooh. And they had committed murder in the rebellion. Then the multitude crying aloud and began asking him to do just as he had always done for them. But Pilate answered them, saying, "Do you want me to release to you the King of the Jews?" For he knew that the chief priests had handed him over because of envy. But the chief priest stirred up the crowd so that he should rather release Barabbas to them. Turn the page. And Pilate answered and said to them again, "What then do you want me to do with him, who you call the King of the Jews?" So they cried again and said,
We want Barabbas.
"No."
Oh.
About Jesus. What did they say about Jesus?
Oh. Crucify him. Crucify
Good
him.
job.
My bad.
Then Pilate said to him, Why? What evil has he done? But they cried out all the more. Ryan?
Crucify him! Crucify him!
So, Pilate, wanting to ratify the crowd, released Barabbas, and he repented and he delivered Jesus after he had scourged him to be crucified.
What you throw that?
I
He
thought I was
changed the
gonna.
scripture.
Yeah.
He changed the scripture.
Hey, wait a second. I thought it was going crazy. You're not supposed to be doing that. You're breaking the cosmic laws. You're not supposed to add to it.
He's breaking spiritual laws.
Exactly.
Truth.
To get his way. Alright? You're playing with fire, mister.
God knows I'm just joking around.
Excuse me, kind sir, would you like more coffee?
We get it.
Excuse me, kind sir, would you like
Well,
more
don't just
coffee?
stand there. Just go ahead.
He's working on a tip. So Mark's pretty short, just like John is.
I'm gonna get a 40% tip after this.
You will.
Alrighty.
From a sister.
You're gonna have to edit that part out. Is this live?
This is live, baby.
We're just. I don't know why you threw that out there.
Okay, anyway. Okay. Now.
So what? Hang on. Before you continue, what do you mean? I said, am I going to get a 40%? And you said from your sister. What does that mean? She's going to come over here and hand me money.
Yep.
Alrighty. I better call her up. Tell her she better bring me my money.
Yeah.
What?
You say, David wrote me an IOU.
Yep.
Yeah.
It said, you make good for it.
And we got it on camera too.
Alrighty.
You gonna show your sister this?
Yeah.
She's going to kill you. If I know her, she's going to kill you. If I
Hey.
know her.
Hey,
Yeah.
corn dog accepts challenge. Okay,
My buddy, she's going to kill you.
Mr. Peaches.
Yeah, what were you reading?
Luke
Oh.
1,
Chapter 23.
23, 1 through 5.
Like 23, 1 through 5. Alrighty. Then their whole assembly rose up and brought him before Pilate. They began to accuse him, saying, "We found this man misleading our nation, opposing payment of taxes to Caesar, and saying that he himself is the Messiah, a king." So Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" He answered him, "You say so." Pilate then told the chief priests and the crowds, "I find no grounds for charging this man." But they kept insisting. "He stirs up the people, teaching throughout all Judea, from Galilee, where he started even to here."
Very good, Mr. Peaches.
Thank you. I do what I can.
So that statement led to another situation.
Yep. Care to share?
And this story is different than the other three.
Yep.
Ooh. Mhm.
Continue.
Okay.
Oh, no. With what you were saying.
No.
That's it.
We're
That's it?
fixed to get into the
Oh,
we're fixed to
okay.
get into the new situation.
Go ahead.
Stuff that the other three don't say.
Go ahead.
Ooh, here we go.
It says when Pilate heard of Galilee, he asked if the man were a Galilean. And as soon as he knew that he belonged to Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who was also in Jerusalem at that time. Now when Herod saw Jesus, he was exceedingly glad, for he had desired for a long time to see him, because he had heard many things about him, and he hoped to see some miracle done by Jesus. Then he questioned him with many words, but he answered him nothing. And the chief priests and scribes stood and vehemently accused him. Then Herod, with his men of war, treated him with contempt and mocked him, arrayed him in a gorgeous robe, and sent him back to Pilate. That very day, Pilate and Herod became friends with each other, for previously they had been at enmity with each other.
So,
The plot thickens, as they used to say.
Mr. Peaches, go ahead.
With what?
What do you think?
The plot thickens. So two people that hated each other, that were enemies, become friends. Over a man,
All because he sent Jesus over to Herod.
a man who claims he's God, who's the Messiah.
Well, Herod thought he was going to get to see a miracle.
Yeah, he was like, "Give me those miracles."
I don't think he took into account that he was sending him over there to him because of jurisdiction, though.
Yeah.
He just thought, oh, boy, we'll get to see a miracle.
He goes, "Hey, wait." That's how bureaucracy works. Wait a second, he's from there. Yeah, I can't. I don't want him. He's got to go over here. So he goes over here.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no. You're not doing miracles for me, baby. You're going back over to Pilate.
And Pilate's thinking, "Phew, I got rid of that problem."
And then comes back through the window.
Okay. Luke 23, verse 13. Then Pilate, when he had called together the chief priests and the rulers and the people, said to them, "You have brought this man to me as one who misleads the people, and indeed, having examined him in your presence, I have found no fault in this man concerning those things of which you have accused him. No, neither did Herod, for I sent back to him, and indeed nothing deserving of death has been done by him." At least, David, at least they're honest. Pilate and Herod,
Neither was without fault, any.
well, they could have been with the crowd and said,
Oh, we're going to get to the crowd in a minute.
"We got to get rid of him somehow." But I'm glad that they were honest and said that we find no fault. Anyway, I will therefore chastise him and release him, for it was necessary for him to release one to them at the feast. And they cried out at once, saying, "Away with this man, and release to us Barabbas, who had been thrown into prison for a certain rebellion made in the city, and for murder." And Pilate, therefore, wishing to release Jesus, again called out to them, but they shouted, saying, I'm sorry, Ryan?
Crucify him! Crucify him!
Good job. Then he said the third time, "Why? What evil has he done? I have found no reason for death in him. I will therefore chastise him and let him go." But they were insistent, demanding with loud voices that he be crucified, and the voices of these men and the chief priests prevailed. So Pilate gave sentence that it should be as they requested. And he released it to them, the one who they requested for the rebellion and murder had been thrown into prison, but he delivered Jesus to their will.
So notice here that three of the Gospels, Barabbas says, "Who do I release to you? Barabbas and Jesus." And Luke here, the crowd requests Barabbas.
Yeah.
And if I was in Pilate's place, I wouldn't suggest to anybody. And hopefully they wouldn't suggest the one they suggested. But doing that tradition of releasing somebody during Passover like that, you know, he didn't want to release a rebel, a murderer.
Yeah.
And I'd say, follow that man, keep out of him. I don't trust him. I think he'll do it again.
True. Now, do we have time for your transition?
Well, we can look at it. I think I read it last time.
And then we'll get into some New Year's stories.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's see what this says here. Kind of glitter in here.
Alright.
Jesus before Pilate. It is difficult to ascertain when and where the trial before Pilate, as reported in the Gospels, actually took place. Ancient writers, particularly Mark, often telescope events into a short span of days to maintain the narrative and integrated of the story. The idea of Jesus' arrest, trial, and crucifixion all taking place in a rush of 24 hours, which some scholars have questioned, did appeal to early Christianity, for it enabled the faithful to recreate all these events in a holy week. Mark's gospel claims that as soon as it was morning, they bound him, or Jesus, and led him away and handed him over to Pilate, who thereupon initiated a hearing. This is what the Romans would have called the first hour, around 6 or 7 a.m. by our modern reckoning. In 10 hours or so, the sun would go down and the Sabbath would begin.
Your turn.
Yep, time for a drink. Yeah, which Sabbath are they talking about? During that week, they had a high Sabbath, as long as a regular Sabbath.
Kind of like leap year.
Well, the thing was, they were back to back. So, we find, when we read later, that they had to get Jesus down before dark because Sabbath was coming. That would have been the high Sabbath, which would have been from Thursday to Friday.
Double the Sabbath, double the blessings.
And then the regular Sabbath has been Friday to Saturday. So there's 2 Sabbaths right there. The location of these proceedings is likewise uncertain. The Gospels refer to Pilate's headquarters, or the Praetorium, literally the seat of the praetor, or provincial governor. We know of 2 possible locations. One was the old palace of Herod, a sprawling complex in the southwestern part of the city, just south of today's Jaffa Gate. The other was the Antonian fortress, the Herodian citadel adjacent to the temple complex where the main Roman garrison in Jerusalem was based. Scholars are divided on this issue. On one hand, Herod's palace would have offered more comfort for the prefect from Rome. And on the other hand, if there was trouble brewing, it was likely to happen in the temple forecourt. This very purpose of Pilate's visit to Jerusalem during Passover was to suppress any form of violent protest. It would therefore seem logical that he would decide to stay at the Antonian fortress adjacent to the temple. A further corroboration of this theory may be inferred from the fact that when Paul was arrested to be tried, he was taken to the barracks in Acts 21:37, which most scholars agree refers to the Antonian fortress. Finally, the Gospels state that there were other rebels held at the Praetorium as well. This suggests that the location contained a functional prison. Time for another drink. Which would, once again, favor the Antonian. The next question is the nature of the hearing that Pilate reportedly presided over. In the Gospels of Matthew, Luke, and John, and Mark's rather sparse account is developed into a more elaborate trial proceeding that cues closely to the Roman law. The role of the judge, by custom, the highest ranking praetor in town, is played by the Roman prefect himself, Pontius Pilate. Accusers in Roman jurisprudence are summoned to present evidence. When such evidence is found wanting, the judge himself decides to interrogate the accused in an attempt to ferret out the truth. Jesus disrupts the proceeding, however, by refusing to respond to Pilate's questioning. This is a disturbing development because, according to the Roman law, the absence of a proper defense can result in a verdict being overturned or referred to a higher judicial authority. Time for another drink. Okay. In the Gospel of John, a learned debate then issued between Jesus and Pilate, which leads Pilate to declare that I cannot find fault in this man. Of course, I think that's the only one where that's mentioned. The other three don't say that. Some authors have questioned whether the trial would have unfolded in this manner, or indeed whether there was a trial at all, because Jesus was not a Roman citizen but a colonial subject. Colonials did not rate the benefits of Roman proceedings under their Roman law. Instead, they were judged by a far more arbitrary set of rules, usually referred to as the law of nations. Originally, this law had been drafted for any legal issues involving foreigners on Roman soil, including subjects from the provinces. During the imperial period, the law was then applied to a form of colonial law.
Hmm.
Okay, that's it. Am I missing a page? Two, four, three. Was that, did I have a period at the end of it? No, it didn't. It says, in overseas territories occupied Rome, talking about colonial law.
Yeah.
Insofar as it pertained to matters that affected Roman interests, rather than purely domestic cases. Praetors who dispensed law under the legal umbrella were given wide latitude to render judgment as they saw fit, without the procedural finesse of a Roman trial. This is why upon his arrest around 63 CE, Paul, who had inherited his Roman citizenship from his father, vehemently insisted on a proper trial in Rome rather than being left at the mercy of a colonial court in Jerusalem or Caesarea. It is therefore quite possible that Mark's such a summary of the hearing before Pilate is closer to the actual events than the more dramatic and elaborate versions in the other Gospels. In Mark's portrayal, the proceeding was mercifully brief. Jesus was ushered before Pilate. The charge was read. The prisoner, being accused of claiming to be the Messiah, the King of the Jews, and Jesus responds, "You say so," was noted for the record. Pilate then expressed his surprise that Jesus did not have anything more to say in his defense, but made no further attempt to question the prisoner. Indeed, such would have been pointless anyway. Anyone with ambitions to be crowned as king of Judah was by definition a rebel, and rebels merited only one form of punishment: crucifixion.
Hmm.
So it's like
Pretty fast.
pretty fast, yeah. So here Pilate offers a choice. We know about that, which was Barabbas. And then here's the historical Pilate. So far, we haven't read about the scourging yet, so that'll probably be in the next group.
Yep. And the next one is the crucifixion.
Start with us, see what, he was going to whip him and chastise him and send him on his way. What gets me is if he's going to crucify him, why does he still go ahead and do that for? Unless when we get into it, we'll find out that maybe there's some prophecy that's backing that up.
Daniel 9.
Hmm?
Daniel 9. Did you hear me?
No, not between your coughs.
Daniel 9.
No.
No.
No. More like Isaiah, maybe.
Okay.
I think that there's one that said that one of the prophets said that he would be mangled so bad that he'd look like a dog. He couldn't. Of course, we get into the crucifixion. A lot of them depict him carrying the cross.
Yeah.
But all he carried was the board.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No, when it said that he was hung on a tree, it was actually a tree.
Real quick before we cut off, what are y'all's New Year's resolutions? Mr. Peaches, go ahead.
God, I have no idea.
I'd make one, but it won't come true.
I guess to get into, pursue some things I've been looking at, probably.
Professor?
Not to get sick again.
What about you?
Go to sleep early.
Go sleep early.
Like how early we're talking about?
You're not getting enough sleep?
I never get enough sleep.
Cause you stay up till like 1 o'clock partying, and then before you know it, you gotta get up at 6 o'clock.
Well, why don't you said the older you get, the less sleep you get?
And I'm already feeling
And
it.
he's trying to reverse it.
Yep. Probably my realistic version is to collect as many fireworks. So next year, we can have a New Year's.
How you gonna collect them when it's only they're for sale right before 4th of July and right before New Year's?
Man, by golly, I'm glad you asked.
You got an inside source.
I have an inside source. I'm telling you, Brian Autry at Bogo's Fireworks.
You call them up and say, hey, I want to come get some fireworks. Me too.
Yep. All I had to do is call him and say, hey, you got the good stuff? He'll
When you go in there again tomorrow? I thought you said you already got some.
You already got some?
yeah.
Are you gonna save it for next year?
No.
So if you set it off tomorrow night at midnight,
Oh, whoa.
won't that be next year?
Oh, that's
That is good. That's right. Hey, wait. What about one last story? One last story before we go. So I told you about those artillery rounds.
Here we go. Hold on, Mr. Peaches.
All right, made another cameo appearance. Okay, so I told you about him blowing, the
Catching a fence on
yeah.
fire.
Well, what was it?
Hey, don't-
What was it? New Year's Eve or No, this was 4th of July. We were shooting them, and his dad decides to use this box that this pool had come in and shooting them off. He lights. We had done about 2 of them, no problem. He lit the 3rd one, and right when it's about to, shoot up out of it, the box tipped over, shot into the neighbor's yard, and it was like a war zone. The neighbor grabbed the kids off the trampoline and hit the ground and knocked the trampoline over and blew out. Oh, they had a double pane window, blew out one of them.
No!
But you should have seen it. It was like a war. It was like a war movie. He ran, dived in there, got those kids, and rolled off.
Yep.
It was quick.
Well, cut us off, Mr. Peaches, and we'll do it
Alrighty.
again
Next